It is another day of misery for thousands trying to fly today. Once again, Houston's George Bush Intercontinental Airport is enduring the longest lines. It's a 2-hour wait today. 36% of TSA workers called out on Tuesday, unwilling to work without pay. Congressional leaders are still seeking a deal over funding for the Department of Homeland Security, but the clock is ticking as they are scheduled to recess for 2 weeks after Friday. And today, the acting head of the TSA testified on how agents working without pay are being impacted on the front lines.
It is a real human toll to wake up and show up to work every day not knowing how you're going to pay your bills. And so I am, of course, concerned about the workforce. And the longer this shutdown goes on and more missed paychecks, we are really putting ourselves and our workforce in a perilous situation.
CBS News contacted 532 members of Congress in their offices asking what they are doing about the partial government shutdown. It should come as no surprise that those who responded blamed the other party for the impasse. CBS News Homeland Security correspondent Nicole Sganga has been in Houston watching the frustration fester.
What is your message to Washington?
Get some sort of compromise, but we need to make sure that we get all the people. TSA is visible because we're standing in line, but Coast Guard and other security agencies aren't so visible. They need their money too.
You're not angry with TSA workers who aren't showing up?
No. I sympathize with the fact they've got to feed their families and take care of business.
And Nicole joins us now. Nicole, I know the last time we spoke, you were, in the basement, then you moved to another level. The lines were snaking over multiple terminals. What is the situation there in Houston tonight?
Yeah, well, we're not out of the woods just yet, Nicole. And earlier today, we actually found people who were sleeping, camped out outside the TSA line behind me here in Terminal E, just to make sure that they would be among the first to be let in around 4 a.m. local to be able to pass through screening and make it to their flights in time. Earlier today, the wait times were bordering on what we saw yesterday, around 3 or 4 hours. Since that, we've seen the lines lessen, but we're not quite out of the woods yet, in part because we know that Wednesday is typically a very quiet travel day for this airport here, and things are expected to pick up over the weekend. There's a big convention here in Texas next week, some sporting events, so concern also that after TSA officials missed their second full paycheck on Friday, we could see more TSA officers outright quit. We know that over 480 have quit so far. And today, you mentioned the TSA acting administrator. She said that by Friday, TSA will have missed paying out nearly $1 billion in wages to its workers. A lot of sympathy for those workers here among passengers. We've also noted a few high-profile passengers, Nicole, including one former attorney general. This morning, we spotted Bill Barr in a very long line. He told us he had already waited about 2 hours. So everyone is going through general screening here in Houston. No TSA pre-check, no clear, and as far as we can tell, no special treatment, at least among former senior officials. There is an ADA-compliant terminal in Terminal C that's now also accommodating families with strollers. So that is a change that we've noticed.
All right, Nicole Sganga with the latest impact on all passengers, even those who formerly worked in government. We will see how lawmakers are treated if they end up at the airports this weekend. Thank you so much. And speaking of lawmakers, we want to turn now to Capitol Hill and our Taurean Small. So, Taurean, bring us up to speed on where negotiations stand.
Yeah, we're still at a standstill. Actually, just moments ago, a procedural vote to fund DHS failed 54-47, just not quite reaching that 60-vote threshold. Again, Democrats are holding the line, refusing to support Republicans until they get what they're asking for, which is ICE reforms. This is one that has been a pretty big wrinkle in this plan. At the start of the week, we saw that there was more optimism considering that the president had told lawmakers he was supportive of a concept that would separate ICE funding from this DHS spending bill. When the language of this proposal came out, it didn't sit well with Democrats, considering one major component of the two components, operational components of ICE, was still being funded. Democrats maintained they will not support funding of ICE without significant reforms built into this legislation that they pass. They offered a counterproposal. Republicans are considering it, but what we heard from Leader Thune today isn't necessarily giving us the idea that they're considering it. Thune actually said there's no point in sending back another proposal because what Democrats are asking for now is what they've asked for before and have already been shot down, Nicole.
And, we heard earlier from the acting head of the TSA who testified today on Capitol Hill, along with other officials from FEMA, the Coast Guard, and other entities within DHS that are being impacted. What more do they have to say?
Yeah, I think the most striking thing is what Nicole brought up. She said the acting administrator, McNeil, said that if this continues to Friday, that's about $1 billion in paychecks to TSA agents and employees that just would not have been paid by that point, which is pretty significant. But also, she brought up the fact that even if the DHS were to be funded again, there is also this real concern that the scale of firings or quitting, resignations so far would lead them into a deficit when it comes to hiring. So she's concerned about the future of these airports, potential shuttering of airports because they just can't be adequately staffed. And she's putting the onus on Congress to act now.
All right. Taurean Small from Capitol Hill tonight. Thank you.